my name is Sandra, and this is
Anna.
And we are going to be talking about diabetes. Anna, what do you know about diabetes?
There are two different types, and in some way, shape, or form, they'll need a insulin to help kind of subdue some of it to not cause factors later.
Right.
It can be caused by obesity or genetics, one over the other depending on which type you have.
Yeah.
And then there are some risk factors that go along.
Yeah. So since we're on the topic, let's talk about risk factors. If you don't really know what the risk factors are, it's really hard to understand the rest of the disease. So like you mentioned, obesity and genetics are the really two big risk factors. And then there's also age and lifestyle. So genetics really plays into a part, especially with type 1 diabetes. We don't really know the specific link, what it is exactly, what genes exactly cause it, but they do hypothesize that there is a genetic link. Obesity, especially with type 2, we might get into it a little more later, but sedentary lifestyle and obesity really kind of go hand in hand. Obesity, what it does is that it'll cover the receptors in the cell and make it hard for the insulin to bind. And then age, as you get old, accidents happen, your body just starts slowly malfunctioning, so it's just a natural process. What do you know about insulin?
Kind of helps with the sugars and because your body doesn't produce as much or needs to catch up, so it'll help just kind of give you more oomph on that.
Yeah.
For lack of better words there.
So insulin is actually created in the pancreas, and the pancreas is this little organ stuck behind your stomach. And what it does is that it's sent into the blood, and through the blood it gets sent to the different cells, especially liver and muscle cells. And what it does is that it acts as like a key to allow glucose to come into their cells so that they can use them for energy, especially ATP. But if, let's say, like I mentioned before, there's an obese person and those receptors are coated in fat, then the insulin can't bind. And so the body is producing all this insulin, but it's not working, so it dials back sometimes, and it doesn't allow any of the glucose to go into the cells, and it just stays in the blood. And it causes a lot of problems and a lot of really weird symptoms. Do you know any symptoms for diabetes?
Some hunger and dehydration. Some blurred vision. I know there are a few more actually.
Yeah, so we mentioned about 3. So there's also exhaustion. There's really bad weight loss. There is UTIs, which we'll get into. I'll go through and I'll try to explain all of the symptoms. There is impotence for men, and wounds don't heal as easily.
And that goes with why some diabetics take blood thinners?
Yes, and because the blood is also so thick, there's a lot of numbness that results from the thick blood. So just kind of going through it really quickly. Numbness, the blood is thick, and that also causes it's really problematic for wounds to heal as well. And so if your limbs aren't getting the blood that they need, or if your wounds aren't getting the blood that they need to heal, because your wounds do need blood, they actually cause this thing called diabetic's foot, and your limbs can fall off. Yay!
Yeah!
For me, I know it's a little gross, but the most interesting one for me was the UTIs, because actually what that is caused by is just excess glucose in the urine, and so that is attracted. The extra excess glucose in the urine attracts bacteria to the site of urine release, and it causes a lot of problems there. But do you know any more long-term issues that can arise from that?
Besides your limbs just falling off every
Well, you can get hypertension. Your blood is really thick, blood pressure goes up, That's why you get really thirsty to kind of combat that blood pressure because it'll thin out your blood. That's why they take a lot of blood thinners as well. You'll get heart problems, you'll get kidney problems because all of that glucose going through the kidneys will cause some issues. I'm trying to think what else. Later, do you know any treatments for diabetes?
I know there are like oral medications and insulin, but I don't really know any if there are other prescribed.
Right. So insulin, oral meds, of course. You can also regulate your diabetes by just having regular meals and snacks instead of just snacking throughout the day, not really monitoring how much you're eating. By actually trying to eat a balanced diet at regular intervals in the day, you can help decrease the amount of, or you can help regulate your diabetes. You can also increase your physical activity level because, especially with type 2, a lot of the problem arises from having a very sedentary lifestyle, so you can combat that by increasing your physical activity. Any other questions that you have for me?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anna, for joining me. Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope that you guys have a good day.
Yeah.